Hey guys, it's Allan, and one of the things that I'm very passionate about in my personal training and in my group exercise classes is always instilling the idea of self-care. And one of the ways that we can really implement self-care is by using our foam rolling or self-myofascial techniques. So what I wanted to do in this video today is to show some things that you can do at home or at the gym or outside, wherever you happen to be. But I wanted to show a few of the tools that I use in my training frequently and to teach you guys some techniques. So the first thing we want to do is we always want to check in with the calves, right? So the calves get very tight oftentimes from our lifestyle sitting or commuting. They just get tight. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to sit down on the floor and put the foam roller underneath your calves, and you just start in this neutral position with your foot straight up, and this is our neutral position. Now notice I am sitting down on the ground because if you're new to this, you don't want to attack the tissue by already going into a stacked mode and lifting. This is something that you'll see people do that make foam rolling a regular part of their life. They have the upper body strength to go ahead and lift and to roll out. But in the beginning, just sitting here and putting that pressure forward and back, you may find is enough. So once you've gone into that neutral position where you're in that toes straight up, then you want to internally rotate. Now, if you happen to be a pronator, you're going to notice that, oh my gosh, yes, the soleus is going to be really tender and really tight. And that's kind of a dead giveaway if you are a pronator. So notice I'm just kind of going slowly back and forth here. After a few passes, you're going to want to go ahead and externally rotate. So now if you're a supranator, you're going to feel this right away in those peroneals, the peroneal region. And again, you want to kind of just get in there, go back and forth. Okay, and then as I often explain it, you kind of want to get into a dance with it. If you find a very tender spot, yeah, you can hold it for a few seconds, but you don't want to pin it for too long when you're starting out, because that message goes to your brain and your brain says, ooh, extreme pain. I'm going to hold on to that tissue instead of allow it to elongate. So so that's one thing. So once you've done both legs back and forth, the other thing that you could do is you can pop up here again, and this is cross-fiction. So that's getting into those fibers and that fascia tissue and really taking it to the next level where you're really getting some good cross-fiber action there, back and forth. So that's something that's really great to do. For the soleus, some of you oftentimes have really tight soleus and you ask me, Jen, this roller is not really getting into the soleus as much as I need it to. So Trigger Point has this block, this foam block that you can go ahead and purchase, along with this little device here. This is called their footballer. So what you do is you put the footballer on top of the block, and again, you get that soleus right on top of there, and again, you kind of got to check to see what's happening with your tissue, but you can start in that neutral position and just going back and forth by an inch or two. You can then externally rotate, you can internally rotate, and then once you've done a few passes of that, go ahead and stack, okay, and oh wow, okay, so you're going to definitely feel that. If you've got a tender soleus that's very tight, full of those adhesions, you're going to absolutely feel this footballer getting right in there. So that's a great way that you can go ahead and release that. So the grid, this is called the grid, and again put out by Trigger Point. So the grid is really fantastic for just a general use roller, but they also make these more specific products that get into the soleus. So then the other thing, once you've properly foam rolled your calves, we want to check to see what's happening with the piriformis, the glute medius. So what you can do, you take, I'm taking my right cheek here in the center of the roller, and I kind of lean back with my arms straight behind me. And we just start this little circular rolling pattern like this. And that little tender spot buried deep within your glute, it's kind of a triangular shaped muscle. It's called the piriformis. So if your piriformis is really tight, you're going to have that pulling on your low back. And oftentimes if we have low back, it's because we have chronic tightness in our piriformis. So once you've been rolling out like this, then what you could do is you can cross a leg, oh wow, and then we circle around and ooh baby, we're dancing in there now. So we're really getting that piriformis, and you just, again, you want to take your time. This might be excruciating for some of you, so you want to go ahead and take a break, okay? So once you've taken a break, go ahead and pop back on there again. So we're like this in this position, and then after a while, the other thing that you could do is you come down the floor on your forearm here, and you kind of lean open and open up your chest wall so that we're getting the higher end of our glute medius. So when our glute medius is tight, our hip is tight. So this is all connected. So if you have a really tight hip, tight piriformis, you're going to feel that effects possibly in your knees or your tight soleus. So it's all connected through the connect chain. So that's why it's really fantastic to be doing these exercises on a regular basis. So you're getting good blood flow and oxygen into those tight areas in your body. It's kind of like, it's kind of the warm-up to the warm-up. So I always recommend starting with the foam rolling before you go into your actual dynamic stretches and then into your workout. It aids in repair of your tissue and recovery of your tissue. I love foam rolling. It's always hard to get started with it, but once you make it part of your life in terms of who you are and what you do, it's just going to kind of give your tissue you kind of dipping your toe into the fountain of youth, as I like to say. So after you've done your piriformis, your glute medius, you can also come down, and this is your TFL, your tensor fasciae lata, right? So you're just kind of pinning that spot right there, going back and forth, and then you can go into the glute medius right here, so you can kind of dance and go back and forth. And again, this might be very excruciating for some of you, so take your time with it. But those are some really, really good spots to try to trigger. Now, if you're ready for more and you've been foam rolling for a while, then we take it down to this little guy. This is the orb, so this really gets into the nitty gritty. So check this out. So you're going to sit on it, take your right cheek, woo, and we're going to just really get into pinning that piriformis, and you can't hide from this one. This is going to get right in there, and again, I'm going to stack that leg, and oh wow, this is very, very pinpointed pressure. And so if you've got some tightness to work out, you're going to definitely feel that. So the orb is a great tool to use for really pinning in more. And even for your calves, you can, going back to the calf muscle, you can go ahead and pin your gastroc on there and really pin that. And if you want to take it up, it's like, oh my goodness, you can stack. And wow, that's going to really get in there. And I wouldn't recommend this for beginners. This is more of an intermediate level of foam rolling. I did want to show a couple other, these are like yoga tune-up balls, massage balls. A lot of times people carry their tension in their upper trapezius, and so they're wanting to know, Jen, what can I do to work out my upper trapezius and release some of that tension? So what you can do on the floor, you take these guys and you put them right in your upper traps there, right? And so you're just going to kind of lift up your hips a little bit and massage those balls right underneath your trapezius. And wow, it's going to get right in there. You're going to go back and forth, and you're going to get some really great relief and release in those tight upper trapezius muscles. If that's a bit too intense, if you follow me over here, you can always find a wall, and a wall is really great because you control the pressure by how much you press in. So what you can do is get up against a wall or a doorway, and wow, this feels really good actually. So you can get right in there. If you have tight muscles between your scapula, more of the rhomboids and the mid-trapezius, you can press in and really get those back muscles right in between the scapula, and that feels really, really great. So One other thing is this is another tool I just wanted to point out real quickly. If you have a lot of tenderness and you're finding that these techniques might just be a little bit too intense, this is called a tiger's tail, and you can put this down on the ground like this and just work it this way. So you can work your quads, you can work your peroneals this way, you can go on the inside and work your adductors, okay? So that's something that you can go ahead and use. But really, the more that you work with these techniques and you make it part of just who you are and what you do, you get up in the morning, maybe you roll out for 5 minutes. You're going to find that the goal is to get on there and have it be a really great massage and not have it be so tender and excruciating. So if it is tender and excruciating, it just means we've got some work to do. And trust me on this, the more that you wake up in the morning or before exercise and just take 4 or 5 minutes, you're going to just, again, be tapping into that fountain of youth for your tissue and make it youthful and pliable and allow you to feel just better in your mobility, flexibility, and repair as time marches on. So give that a try, guys, and let me know if you have any questions, okay?